The city breathes before sunrise. Streets hum with early motion. Lights flicker on across skylines. And somewhere in that quiet chaos, two lives are beginning their day. Same age, same job, same salary. Watch closely. 10 years pass in a single breath. One person stands surrounded by investment portfolios, a fully paid-off home, and assets that continue growing while they sleep. The other is still watching the calendar, counting down to the next payday, wondering where the money went. The screen holds that image for a moment, and the question arrives quietly, but with full weight. What made the difference? Was it luck? Was it intelligence? Was it who they knew, where they grew up, or some opportunity that only came to one of them? The answer is none of those things, and that is exactly what makes this story worth telling. And so we arrive at Chapter 1, The Invisible Difference. Here is the truth that most people never hear. Wealth is rarely built through one dramatic moment. There is no single lottery ticket, no overnight breakthrough, no perfect opportunity that separates the financially free from the financially stuck. It is built through thousands of small financial decisions made consistently over years. Watch these two people. One swipes a card without thinking, impulse after impulse, moment after moment. The other quietly transfers money into an investment account. Same income, completely different destination. The gap between financial freedom and financial struggle is almost invisible at first. It hides inside daily habits that seem completely insignificant in the moment. A coffee here, a subscription there, a transfer made quietly every single week. None of it feels dramatic, none of it feels life-changing, but compounded across a decade, these invisible daily choices produce vastly different financial realities. The difference was always there, hiding in plain sight. The data makes this undeniable. Watch what happens on screen as these animated graphs begin to move. Two lines start almost identically, barely separated. But as months turn into years, something remarkable occurs. The gap between them does not grow gradually, it accelerates. Small differences in daily financial behavior compound into outcomes that look almost impossible to explain at first glance. Here is where the research becomes genuinely eye-opening. Studies consistently show that people across every income level can either build or destroy wealth depending entirely on their financial behavior. Consider this directly. A person earning $70,000 a year with disciplined saving and investing habits will, in most documented cases, end up significantly wealthier than someone earning $150,000 annually with poor financial decisions and unchecked spending patterns. That is not a minor distinction. That is a complete reversal of what most people assume. Income alone does not determine financial destiny. Behavior does. Chapter 2. Delayed gratification. Of all the psychological traits studied in long-term wealth builders, one stands out above nearly everything else: the ability to sacrifice present comfort for future freedom. Watch this. Someone walks past a store window, drawn to something expensive, something unnecessary. They pause, they feel the pull, and then they walk away, not because they cannot afford it, but because they understand what that money could become. Behavioral research consistently shows that the ability to delay gratification is one of the strongest predictors of long-term financial success. People who can resist the immediate reward in favor of a greater future reward make fundamentally different financial decisions, thousands of them over the course of a lifetime. This is not about deprivation. It is not about punishing yourself or living without joy. It is about understanding the true cost of every financial decision and consciously choosing your future over the fleeting feeling of the present moment. Watch how this plays out in real life. Two people, identical salaries. The first celebrates every small financial win by upgrading something. A newer phone, a sleeker car, a more expensive apartment. Each upgrade feels earned, justified, reasonable. The second person quietly keeps their lifestyle exactly the same and redirects every surplus dollar toward assets. Nothing flashy, nothing dramatic, just consistent, intentional redirection. 10 years later, the visual gap between them is almost impossible to believe. One has a growing portfolio compounding quietly in the background. The other has a collection of depreciating purchases and very little to show financially. Here is what matters most about this. Delayed gratification is not something you are born with. It is not a personality trait reserved for a certain type of person. It is a skill, a habit, something built deliberately through awareness, through intention, and through repeated practice made consistently over time. Anyone can develop it. Now we arrive at one of the most clarifying principles in personal finance: the difference between assets and liabilities. Wealthy individuals consistently prioritize acquiring things that grow in value or generate income over time. Stocks, exchange-traded funds, index funds, small businesses, rental properties. These are not just financial buzzwords. They are vehicles that quietly work for you while you sleep. The animated visuals here tell the story simply. An asset puts money back into your pocket. A liability pulls money out of it. A depreciating car bought on credit, a wardrobe financed on impulse, subscriptions that go unused. These are not neutral purchases, they are quiet drains on your financial foundation. And to be clear, this is not about eliminating enjoyment from your life. It is about developing the awareness to recognize which purchases build your future and which ones silently erode it, one small decision at a time. Chapter 4. The Power of Compound Growth. Watch closely as these animated graphs begin to climb. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. The numbers do not just grow, they accelerate. Consider two people with identical incomes. One begins investing at 25, the other waits until 35. That single decade of delay does not create a small gap in final wealth. It creates a transformational one. The person who started earlier may end up with nearly double, sometimes more, despite contributing for the same number of years. This is not mathematics designed to impress you intellectually. It is designed to move you emotionally because the stakes are genuinely that significant. Here is what makes compound growth unlike anything else in personal finance. It does not care how talented you are. It does not reward intelligence or ambition alone. It rewards two things above everything else: consistency and time. Nothing more, nothing less. Take a moment and let these numbers settle in. A person investing a modest amount every single month, starting in their mid-20s, will, in most realistic scenarios, build significantly more wealth than someone investing far larger amounts beginning a decade later. The math is not complicated. Time does the heavy lifting. This is the part that changes how people think about money. The most powerful financial tool available to most people is not a secret strategy hidden behind expensive courses or exclusive investment circles. It is simply starting early and staying consistent, month after month, year after year. Watch these two individuals again, same starting point, same opportunities, but look at where they stand now. The gap between them is not dramatic in any single year. It is quiet, steady, and relentless. Every year that passes, that gap widens a little further. Compound growth does not rush. It simply never stops working. Chapter 5. Lifestyle inflation. Even high earners fall into this trap, and most never realize it is happening. Someone receives a significant raise at work. Almost immediately, they upgrade their car, move into a more expensive apartment, and increase their monthly expenses to match their new income. Despite earning considerably more, their financial position barely changes. The extra money arrives and disappears just as quickly. Now contrast that with another individual who receives the exact same raise. They make a deliberate choice, keep the lifestyle exactly as it is, and redirect every additional dollar into investments. 1 year later, the difference is modest. 5 years later, it is noticeable. 10 years later, it is transformational. Lifestyle inflation is one of the most common and least discussed reasons why high earners still struggle financially. Earning more does not automatically create wealth. What you do with the difference between what you earn and what you spend, that is where wealth is actually built. Chapter 6 arrives, and the visual tone shifts noticeably. The pace slows, the energy becomes quieter, more deliberate. We see financially successful individuals not in boardrooms or luxury settings, but in reflective private moments. Someone reading a book on personal finance during a quiet morning. Another person listening to an educational podcast during their daily commute. Someone else studying market trends on a laptop late in the evening. The narrator speaks gently here. Continuous learning is not about obsession. It is not about consuming every financial book ever written. It is about staying informed and adaptable in a world where financial landscapes shift constantly. The contrast appears without judgment. Passive entertainment on one side, active knowledge building on the other. Both are choices, both have consequences. Education, the narrator explains, is one of the highest return investments a person can ever make in themselves. No market crash can take away what you genuinely understand. And now we arrive at perhaps the most important chapter in this entire documentary, the biggest mindset shift of all. Everything we have explored so far, delayed gratification, assets versus liabilities, compound growth, lifestyle inflation, continuous education, all of it flows from one fundamental psychological difference. Wealthy individuals consistently ask themselves one question: how can I make my money work for me? Those who remain financially stuck consistently ask a different question: what can I buy with my money? That single shift in thinking changes every financial decision that follows. It changes how you see a paycheck. It changes how you respond to a raise. It changes what you do the moment money enters your hands. And here is what matters most, and this mindset is not reserved for the privileged. It is not elitist or exclusive. It is accessible to absolutely anyone willing to honestly examine their relationship with money and begin making intentional choices. Because financial habits, repeated quietly over years, ultimately shape your entire financial reality. And so, we return to where we began. Two people, same age, same job, same salary, standing at the same starting line. The difference between where they ended up was not luck, it was not privilege, it was not one dramatic turning point that changed everything overnight. It was thousands of small, intentional choices made quietly, consistently across years. Choices about what to spend and what to save, choices about what to buy and what to invest in, choices about what to watch and what to learn, choices about how to think about money itself. Wealth is not created overnight, but it is absolutely created. And it begins not with a perfect plan or a large sum of money. It begins with a single decision made today. Start now. Stay consistent. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is built one small choice at a time.